because of a missing and necessary warning bar. Even with the example of my father's advocacy, for years I viewed the law as a remote, intimidating force. When, much to the surprise of the people in my hometown, I ended up at Harvard Law School, I worried that they were right, that the place might be too rough and tumble for me and the law too esoteric. But when it finally sank in that the law is based on cases about real people and their stories, the tools of legal advocacy seem suddenly clear and extremely accessible. Since then, my passion has been to make the law approachable, understandable, and usable for ordinary people. Advocacy is a part of life, and it doesn't require a law degree. There seem to be 4 ways to approach situations that arise in our life. 1, ignore them and hope they go away. 2, assign them to someone else, like a spouse, colleague, parent, or friend, and hope that person will be our knight and defend us from our problems. 3, contend with them irrationally, spontaneously combusting and grimacing at each new glitch. Or 4, face our situations head-on, approaching them logically and thoughtfully with preparedness and thoroughness. It's option 4 that this audiobook will help you master. As a lawyer, I believe that all of us should have access to justice, not just in the courtroom or legal dispute, but also in every situation in our lives where we stand to lose something important to us or when achieving what is fair and right is at stake. Access to the law means access to the law's techniques, the strategies of making your case. The idea of using the language and strategies of lawyers may seem very off-putting. It may conjure up images of stem-winding attorneys like F. Lee Bailey, Jerry Spence, and Johnny Cochran, or surly prosecutors who reduce witnesses to tears on the stand. But I saw how effective legal strategies could be outside the courtroom in helping ordinary people advocate for themselves in my own home state of Washington, where I helped to lead a program called LASER, Lawyers and Students Engaged in Resolution, in which we lawyers trained middle and high school students to mediate disputes among their peers. I watched the students employ the skills of the law to resolve differences and conquer everyday problems. By introducing you to 8 specific steps that seasoned litigators use to offer passionate arguments, cross-examine witnesses, and win a victory from judge or jury, winning every time will help you become more powerful and successful in your everyday dealings. And you'll learn how to successfully implement these 8 steps in specific areas of your life, at work and at business, as a consumer, in marriage and personal relationships, and as a parent. The goal here isn't to teach you to become a cold, calculating legal machine that cross-examines your mother over her burnt pot roast or makes objections to the relevance of your supervisor's request. The goal is to help you get what you want and still have people like you by providing you with the law-related tools you need to handle life's challenges, debates, and controversies rationally, and to remain in the heat of conflict as clear, cool-headed, and thoughtfully persuasive as the very best trial lawyers. Winning every time will show you how to stay in command whenever life makes you feel as though you are on trial. Whether you're hoping to obtain a raise from your boss, convince an insurance claim representative to reimburse your medical treatment, talk your spouse into spending less time watching TV and more time with you, or persuade a business partner to embrace a project you believe in, winning every time will be your guide for truly practical and helpful advice about how to make that case effectively and win it hands down. Let's begin with Step 1, know what you want, the theory of the case. As you approach the trials of your life, you need to find a simple but memorable theme in order to win. I first realized that the skills I learned as a lawyer could empower people beyond the courtroom when Jennifer, a woman I worked with, came to see me in tears. In her 50s, Jennifer is a petite, elegant woman, an excellent paralegal who enjoys her job immensely. But after more than 5 years of outstanding performance reviews from the attorneys she worked for, Jennifer had received a negative review from her new staff supervisor, Michelle. She was stunned. Equally surprised by the disapproving review, I asked her how she responded when Michelle presented it. Well, she admitted, I was just so upset by Michelle's rating that I just signed off on it. I don't think I deserve a bad review, but it was just so intimidating. Jennifer grew up as a daughter of a hard-driving and unapproachable neurosurgeon, a man who was both demanding and controlling, so she was not used to standing up for herself. Lise, I just don't know how to approach this, she told me. I'm so angry, but when I even think about talking to Michelle about it, I just freeze up. I'm afraid I'll say something stupid or burst into tears. But, I reminded her, if you don't say anything, the problem is just going to fester. I know, she cried. This bad review will sabotage my career. I could even lose my job. I told Jennifer that we could figure this out, but that we needed to put aside the emotion and approach this like a case going to trial. It was one of those aha moments for me. Of course courtroom techniques can apply to everyday life. Jennifer wiped away the tears, and we got down to the business of preparing her case. The first step toward success in the trial process is finding a theory of the case, a memorable phrase that captures the essence of the case and leads to the desired result. Besides providing a backbone for the case, this theory is your opportunity to set the stage and communicate your overall message. You can't figure out what kind of evidence is relevant or what to argue if you're running around like Chicken Little with no coherent plan or roadmap. It's your job to organize your information. A good theory is easy to remember, appeals to common sense, is consistent with the evidence, and fits with your audience's concept of fairness and justice. The importance of establishing a compelling theory cannot be emphasized enough, as it supports every step of the trial, like a catchy refrain does in a song. Songwriters know the importance of finding a theme, a chorus that conveys a central idea or emotion that the artist wishes to express in a memorable way. A songwriter has done his job if after hearing a song you're saying, I can't get that line out of my head. Whether it's raindrops keep falling on my head or you're so vain, you can probably recognize a lyric that works, or at least one that sticks in your head. In the courtroom, a lawyer's job is to find a phrase such as betrayal of trust, profits over safety, or taking responsibility for your actions, and rely on it as a songwriter would a chorus in order to convince a jury that the theme is fair and just. As you approach the trials of your life, this audiobook is going to help you find your simple but memorable theme in order to engage and persuade other people and win. After graduating from law school, I wanted to merge my interests in law and journalism, but instead I listened to the advice of my soon-to-be husband and made the responsible decision to take a corporate law job in Seattle in order to pay back the incredible debt I had incurred while at Harvard. I did my job well, learning a lot, but I was aching to incorporate my love of journalism into my career. That was my simple theme I kept playing over and over again in my mind. My theory of the case became, I want to write for the New York Times. Thankfully, I'm from the naive school of I think I can. From my fancy office in Seattle, I called the only person I knew who wrote for the Times, Pulitzer Prize-winning author Anthony Lewis, whose course on the Constitution and the press I had taken at Harvard Law. I knew him. He didn't know me, because I never said anything in class. I introduced myself and told him I would really like to speak with him about writing some pieces on the law for the Times. After looking at my grade, one of the very few A's he gave out, he said he'd be happy to meet with me the next time I was in Boston. What time do you get into the office? I asked. I'm an early bird, he said. I always get here around 7 a.m. 2 days later, I flew to Boston and called him at 7 a.m. He answered the phone, and I reintroduced myself and asked if he could see me. Where are you? He asked. I'm downstairs at the payphone. What could he say? By the end of our talk that morning, Professor Lewis gave me the name of Jonathan Landman at the Times, now the assistant managing editor, and told me I could use his name. I sent Mr. Landman a letter and 3 story ideas. The result was success. I won my case and started writing for the Times because I knew what I wanted. In short, I knew my theory of the case. I was able to approach Anthony Lewis and then Jonathan Landman because I was anchored by my theory. It wasn't because I wasn't scared. I was petrified. I've learned that even the most self-assured, successful people feel fear, but it's how they address their fears that set them apart from those who let fear defeat them. When I face a situation in which I feel out of my league, I always come back to my current theme, the line that plays over and over again in my head. 15 years later, I'm at the Fox News Channel as a sparring partner with Bill O'Reilly and co-host of his radio show. How I got there is also a story of finding my personal theory of the case and relying on it to carry me through. As you might imagine, meeting Bill O'Reilly and convincing him to give me, by now a federal prosecutor and a law school professor, a shot.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.